good morning, everyone. Welcome to our kids lesson for today. I brought with me my kitchen scale here. It's this little guy right here. It's an awesome tool, and it helped because it tells me how much things weigh. But you know that about a scale. That's how they work. But here's the thing. One of the things I kind of often will think is which weighs more. So I brought a series of items for me today, right? With me today. You know, I got a shoe, I got a can of water here, I've got like a toy drill. What else we got? Some tape. And let's just see which thing weighs the most, okay? So I'm gonna go first with my nice can of water here. All right, what does it weigh here? 372.5 grams. All right. Next, let's do my big old smelly shoe, right? And this shoe is 282 grams, all right? So which weighs more? Well, we got the can of water more. We'll do more over here and less over here. How about my roll of tape, right? Oh, 546. And the toy drill, 291.5. Got a couple more things though, because, you know, why not? How about a book? All right, book 365 for this book. Last thing I got hiding down here, pair of shears. The big question is, will it weigh more than the tape, more than the water, more than the book? Where will it come in? Let's find out. Okay, make sure it's not there. It was 556 grams. Do we remember what the tape was? I don't. Let's see, what was the tape again? 546. Or versus 556. So the shears are the most heavy item. I'm going to put them on the far left. My left, your right, right? Shears. So we've kind of arranged these in order of weight, heaviest to lightest. Now, scales are great for telling us the weight of things and helping us compare weights, but they don't gauge importance, right? Sometimes we'll use that word weight and we'll mean important, right? The things that are weighty generally are more important, we say. That's how the expression goes. But we're going to get into our lesson today, and we're going to talk about how sometimes arguments come up because people can't agree on which things are more important. And if only they could use a tool like a scale to help us determine that, right? But we don't quite have that. So how do we do it? How do we get along? How do we just kind of, get along with people, share life with people? How do we actually do church together with people when we don't always see eye to eye? That's kind of the main point we're going to talk about today. And but before we do that, man, I need to get rid of some stuff. So just give me a moment. Right. So you might remember a while back we were talking about Paul, sometimes called Saul, like in his earlier days, and we talked a lot about his letter to Romans. We actually talk about him a lot in not just these videos, but in church in general, right? Because he wrote a lot of the New Testament. He was one who not only went around starting churches, but then he would follow up and write a lot of letters to them and help them out with different problems. And one of those cities he visited was a city in Greece called Corinth, and he started a church there. And then some years later, he started hearing about some problems in the church, and he wanted to write a letter to help them out. But here was the gist of their problems. You see, there was groups of people in the church, and they were having trouble getting along. And they were kind of divided into a few different groups or camps. Hey, Team Peter here. All right, go Peter. Hey, everybody. Hi. Team Apollos over here. Hello. Hey, Team Paul here. So the problem was that, each group kind of went along with the teachings that were most important to the person that they followed that was most important. We totally think Peter is like the man. I mean, come on. Look at it. He actually walked with Jesus. Of course, what he said was the most important, right? So he started teaching, right? We kind of got a letter from him. He came through, now he's on Rome, right? He's a big deal. So yes, we think what Peter says is the most important stuff. Why would anyone not follow Peter's words? Like, go Peter! Are you kidding me? I know. You don't hear a lot about him. He's kind of like, He's not the biggest, brightest, showiest guy, but that's just because he's so authentic. I mean, come on. I know there's some bigger names out there. Go, Peter! Keep it down, Peter group. I know you think he's a big... Look, Apollos is the man. I mean, he came through, he started baptizing people. I mean, so many of us, we were baptized by Apollos. I mean, he's the best. And I know his words are so authentic and so meaningful. I mean, everybody should be listening to Apollos. Hello, the guy started the church. Of course we're going to listen to him. He's like the man, the number one. I mean, nobody else has a conversion story like him. Have you heard it? I mean, the guy was blinded and then he got brought back to sight. It was incredible, right? He was like killing Christians, and now he's like making them. I mean, the guy is just a legend, right? So yes, we think Paul is the best teacher ever. We think he's the one that we should all be listening to. And if he says it, man, that's gospel. That's what we're following. You see, each group just wanted to be right. And for each one, they had different priorities. And some prioritize the teachings of their leader over the teachings of other leaders, right? It was all about if only they could somehow weigh it all. And what Paul was writing about was kind of trying to offer them that scale, that here is the comparison point. Now, my scale I showed you earlier, you put something on top and it gives you a digital display of what it weighs. Old school scales, you would put something on one side. I wish I had this kind of scale, but I don't, right? So you might take the teaching, right? Let's just say it was, baptism, right? Baptism is, we're Baptists. We would say baptism is super important, but let's just take baptism and we'll put it on the scale over here. And then it would compare with another priority of the church. Maybe let's say, worship style. You put it over here and some people go, well, this is more important, it is heavier, and others would go, no, this is more important. But what's the one thing we compare it to? And that's what Paul was trying to offer them. And what he was doing was this. He said, he kind of gave them a few different priorities, right? He said, first of all, the church is built on one person. And that person is Jesus, right? The church is built on Jesus. So how does that work? Well, right? So we teach what? Jesus is God's son. Okay? And he came to earth as a baby. He lived, he taught us a lot, right? He preached to the poor, he healed people, he fed thousands, right? He did all those miracles to show that he was someone special, that he was set apart. Remember when we use the word holy, we mean set apart. Jesus was set apart by God for a purpose. And it wasn't just to do good stuff, it was actually to die, to deal with sin. Okay? He is the only one who can help us know God. That's what Jesus' life was all about. Showing us who God is, what he's like, and how we can have a relationship with him. So that's the first thing. That is all about Jesus. Also, there's really one message of the church, and that's the cross, right? Like Jesus, he dealt with sin. That's what he didn't just kind of say, it's no big deal. He dealt with it so that we could have a relationship with God, right? Yes, Jesus, who he is, we got to keep that central, but also then as a church, as a gathering of his followers, we have one main message, and that's what Jesus did. God's church has one message, Jesus, and one purpose, share him with others. And so sometimes we say, well, it's all about loving God and loving others. And we would say, well, sharing Jesus, helping others find life in Jesus is an important aspect of that loving others. That it isn't just always about being nice and kind, which is good, but it's really helping them meet Jesus and understand him. That's really, really important. Okay? So, churches can look different from one another. And that's important to understand. A church, there's lots of churches in West Kelowna here, and a lot of them look a little different, right? And I don't mean the building looks different, like ours is kind of a weird tan, and some are gray, and some are white, and some are brown. I don't mean that at all. I mean, what does our gathering look like? It can be different, And that's okay. In fact, I would say that's good. That it helps us express different things of what God is like, because the people within it are a little different. Our response to Jesus is going to be a little different. So that's okay. Those minor priorities, those lesser, weightier things kind of make some changes and differences, and that's okay. Right? We're not about to look down on any other church because they do things a little differently than us. But what is important, and what I think is universal in our desire as churches to worship God, is that we all want to help other people meet Jesus. Okay? We help other people become friends with Jesus and get to know him through our gatherings, through our meetings, through our teachings, through how we go outside our building into our community. It's for a purpose. So kind of Paul's message for the church in Corinth was that there's three things that are really important. Those are the things that should be focused on. They're the weightier things. That it is all about Jesus. Okay? That he needs to be center of everything. That our gathering has a message, which is Jesus. And that our gathering has a purpose and a mission, which is to help others meet and know Jesus. And so he says those are the things that weigh the most, and then everything else, how you do that, is a little less important. Now, there's a new verse for us this week. Yeah, the verse for the week. Hey, we got an important verse. Of course, written by none other than Paul. All right, he said in his letter to the church in Colossae, right? The letter of Colossians. He said this, and whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. That really speaks to how important and central Jesus is. We do it all in his name. Whatever we do, word or deed, right? We do it all in the name of Jesus, giving thanks to God. So Paul wanted the church of Corinth to work together to share the important truths about Jesus. He wanted them not to be these three separate parts, but to come together and work together and share life in unity. Right? But sometimes, right, nothing gets in the way more of unity than fighting, right? Than saying, my position is more important than their position. Well, that's going to kill unity. And so we probably need to, at this point, go, okay, so now what? Great. Paul said we got to get along. How do we do that? Well, it's going to start by keeping track of what's really the most important thing. Jesus, it's all about Jesus. He is the only one that really helps us know God, right? It's all about him. We got to keep him in the center. That our gathering, our church life is all about proclaiming Jesus, right? And that is our purpose, is helping people meet Jesus. And so when we keep our priorities straight, and we go, yes, that's all, then other things that come up in life, well, we need to compare them to that. Is issue A, is it more important than telling people about Jesus, than helping people know Jesus? Then it's less important. That's kind of what Paul wanted the church in Corinth to sort out. And interestingly enough, it seems like a principle that's really important today too. As we go about our lives as followers of Jesus, and we go back to school in a few weeks, and we get together with people maybe, or we say hi over Zoom to people over New Year's, or however we do the next few weeks of life with others, it's important that we think about, hey, what is the real principle, the real priority here, and how do we keep ourselves straight and weigh and make sure that we're reading the most important things as the most important. Hey guys, thanks for spending some time with us this week. And, to be honest, I don't know when we're going to see you again. Right now, the plan is that we're going to take kind of January off. We're not going to put out any new videos. That might change if we're unable to meet together in person in January. Right now, just so that you know, we've been getting together on Sunday mornings during the service. And we're hoping that will continue into January. And so if we can, we would love it actually. If you're a kid between the age of 5 and grade 5, hey, during the church service, you could join us in this room And we'd love to just kind of connect face to face. And so we're at least going to take January off from these videos, and we'll love to connect face to face. And if not, maybe in the future we'll come back to this. But everyone, have an awesome new year, and we'll see you again.